Hi. You know how oftentimes in a book there's a moment that seals a deal for a reader? The moment when a reader realizes, hey, I love this book. For me, the moment in this book came when the author receives a CD player from his parents at Christmas. He's in high school at the time. And he's shocked. He can't believe it. It's the very first time his parents have put any thought into giving him a gift. The CD players are new technology at the time, and his dad seems to be so excited to be giving this gift to his son. Here's an opportunity for his dad and him to bridge the distance that has grown between them. But the moment passes. And this is how the author writes of it. I was still silent, and the void of words created a space between us. My father retreated away from that gap, and as he walked down the hallway, the gap widened into a chasm. I didn't thank him, and his shuffles put a distance between us that gulfed too wide for words. Muffled in the silken gauze of the ineffable, we lost an opportunity to connect with a kind word, with tenderness, as father and son. Maybe we would have failed anyway, but I didn't even try. How wonderfully written and heartbreaking. My name is John Joyce. I'm a staff person at Gettysburg Public Library. And this is my review of the book Sigh by Phuc Tran. I stumbled upon it on a bookshop website, and what attracted me to it was not only its 5-star ratings across the board, but the fact the protagonist of the book grew up in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, just down the road. After I read the book, I discovered that it had been chosen by Amazon as one of its top 20 books of the year. The title Saigon, of course, is a play on the name of the South Vietnamese capital, Saigon. The book is a childhood memoir of a Vietnamese immigrant whose family harrowingly escapes Saigon at the end of the war, while the Viet Cong are pouring into the city, and they end up settling in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. The story focuses on the author's efforts to adapt to America, to fit in, to be an American. His efforts to belong are enhanced by his love of reading and music, most specifically classic literature and punk rock. The chapters throughout the book, in fact, are named for many of the works of literature the author reads when he's growing up. And the theme of each chapter is tied into those particular books. The Metamorphosis, the Scarlet Letter, the Importance of Being Earnest are all examples of some of the title or chapter headings. The author writes of his life with great eloquence, a wonderful sense of humor, and a fair dose of pathos. The funniest parts of the book are his attempts to fit in, which oftentimes backfire. One of those attempts is when he tries to change his name from Phuc to Peter, after Peter Parker, Spider-Man. And that goes awry when he discovers on the playground that there's an unfortunate slang meaning to the word Peter. My favorite of his humiliations is when he's invited to go to a movie by his father. His father says it's the best movie in America, Chariots of Fire. And he's so excited. He's never been invited to a movie by his dad before. And in fact, his dad even allows him to bring along a classmate. Wow, he thinks, Chariots on Fire. It'll be just like that movie Clash of the Titans with swords and skeleton armies and chariots on fire. His classmate will think it's so cool. But of course, the movie doesn't live up to their expectations, and there's not one chariot on fire in the whole darn thing. The most poignant moments in the book deal with his relationship with his father. As hard as it is for him to adapt to America, it's even more difficult for his dad, who desperately tries to learn to speak English correctly, and he just can't do it, despite reading the newspaper every day and recording what he says into a tape recorder so he can listen in a vain effort to correct his pronunciation. Everything is so hard for his dad and comparatively easy for him. And he begins to doubt his father. He no longer relies or depends on his dad in an America where his dad is more lost than he is. Of course, throughout the book, he inevitably faces racism, everything from being called a gook to being reduced to the just another smart Asian stereotype. He raises a question: who and what is racist? But on a positive note, he is accepted by his punk rock skateboarding buddies to the point where he has to begin to debate whether reading books is a betrayal of his punk rockishness. If you love libraries, that's another reason this book might appeal to you. The author and his dad love libraries. Whenever his dad drives him to the library, his dad always shares with his son the story about how, when he first got to Carlisle, one of the very first things he did was to get a library card. And he speaks of it with genuine amazement. I couldn't believe it. A free card. You could borrow any book and get all this knowledge and information for free. There's a great passage here where he writes about his dad's love of libraries and his dad's library story. Whenever he told us this story, which was often, his wonderment, his original awe rippled in his wavering voice. His unshakable accent made the story feel even more proximate, as if he were talking about yesterday. My father loved the library because it was a safe haven for him. No missed cultural cues, no bigoted insults from his coworkers, no glaring reminders of what was lost. All patrons of the library were pilgrims to the oracle, all seeking the same thing, knowledge. And in their pursuit of the same thing, they were all equals. Reading this book, you can't help but sympathize with the author and empathize with the immigrant experiment or experience. The book is humorous, it's in parts heartbreaking, and ultimately it's a success story. Saigon, I was fortunate to encounter it myself, and I recommend it. It's a great read. Give it a try.